Yo, how's it going everybody? It's me, Arctic. In today's video, we're going to be going over a complete weapons guide for Tighnari. Now, I can't really show his kit in this video, however, if you go over to genshin.honeyhunterworld.com, you are going to find basically a rundown of his kit, and I'm going to be referencing it throughout this video. But first, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, I'm trying to get to 11,000 subscribers. It would really help me a lot since we just came back from a pretty long break. Okay, so for Tighnari, he is actually a dendro bow character similar to Kohli. What he does is he primarily focuses around his charge attacks because he has a level 2 charge attack kind of similar to Ganyu or kind of similar to Yelan. The rest of his kit is relatively straightforward. His elemental skill does give him like some buff abilities, I would say, and then his elemental burst is basically just a damage kind of area of effect kind of thing, so you're going to be getting some very good damage off of that. But generally, we're going to be building him for his charge attack capabilities. Another thing I want to throw in here is that elemental mastery is going to be very good on him because that is going to further increase the potency of his charge attacks. Now, how I do my weapons guides is I basically run down the list of all of the weapons, but I leave out the ones that aren't going to really be viable on him. But if you do have any questions about specific weapons, if that's all you have access to, feel free to leave a comment, I will answer them. The first weapon I want to talk about is going to be the Sharpshooter's Oath. Now this one, it does have a pretty low base attack because it is a 3-star weapon. However, it's going to make up for that with an increase in crit damage. You get like 46% right here. And then you also get an increase to your charge attack damage against weak points. Now this is going to be okay, however it's not really going to be that crazy on Tighnari because Tighnari's like charge attack, it basically has like little tracker things, so it's going to be able to track multiple enemies, so you're not going to be hitting their weak points, which is a little bit sad, but that initial hit is still going to be able to hit that. So I just wanted to cover that in here, although I don't think it's that great of a weapon. A weapon that I think will actually end up being better than that is going to be the Slingshot, and the reason behind this is because it's a passive right here. So if normal or charge attack hit an opponent within 0.3 seconds of being fired, it increases the damage by 36%. Now, you can also get a higher refinement of this, so it can increase your damage up to 60%. Now, what I'm thinking is you could possibly turn Tighnari into like a shotgun type of DPS character, where you are like standing like right next to enemies, basically firing off his charge attack level 2, and that's going to basically put out the trackers, but they're going to still be within that like quick time frame, I would say, so you might actually be able to get that damage bonus. But this also comes with crit rate, which is going to be very good for his overall kit, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. The Stringless, funnily enough, I think is going to be a pretty solid option for him because it does have this extra elemental mastery, so you are getting some conversion of this to extra like charge attack damage. And its passive isn't that useless either because you are going to be increasing that elemental skill and elemental burst damage, which is going to further increase your overall DPS because he is a DPS character, so anything really kind of helps his overall damage. Another great option that is accessible to most players is going to be the Blackcliff Warbow, because this one is going to give you some extra crit damage and it has a high base attack, so it's going to be very, very good to stack like attack percent on top of the crit damage you're getting off of this. But then its passive, also when you're killing enemies, you're going to be getting that 12% extra attack, and you can get up to 3 stacks of this. At higher refinements, this is actually going to be really, really good, especially if Tighnari is going to be acting as your main DPS. The Prototype Crescent is the option that I think is probably going to be one of the more go-to options for, and it's also just a very solid option in general because it is very synergy heavy with his kit. So you get extra attack percent, which is going to be very good considering that that's going to give you a lot more damage. And then the charge attack hits on weak points is going to increase your movement speed and also attack percent by quite a bit. So it's going to be extremely good to have this on your Tighnari. Sacrificial Bow is a viable option because it basically resets your elemental skill cooldown, and that's going to be pretty good because his elemental skill is actually focused around basically decreasing his charge attack times and giving him some extra benefits. So I think this is going to be a pretty good weapon to go with, although it does take a while to actually refresh your skill, so there's definitely better options if you want to go for more for damage, but I think this is still a pretty viable option to choose. The Hunt is going to be from the Battle Pass, and it's also a very good weapon to choose for Tighnari. Its passive basically generates a cyclone that is based on your attack, and that basically pulls enemies in, so it's going to be pretty good for like crowd control a little bit. And then it also comes with crit rate as its ascension stat, so you're going to be getting a lot of good benefits from this, and I think it's overall going to be a pretty solid weapon to choose. Now getting into the 5-star options, the first one to look at is going to be the Skyward Harp. Now I think this is going to be one of the better weapons to use on Tighnari, basically in terms of overall damage, because this is going to give you good benefits for your whole kit. Comes with a very high base attack at 674. It also comes with some crit rate, which is going to increase like the damage reliability of your whole entire kit. This also gives you an extra 20 crit damage, and it has a 6% chance to inflict this AoE attack damage right here, which is actually pretty good because it just gives you a little bit more DPS. Choose this one is because of its high base attack, is pretty much the primary reason. Amos Bow is a classic weapon that's going to be really good on pretty much any charge attack character, but especially Tighnari. What Amos does is increase your normal and charge attack damage by 12%, and then after your normal or charge attack is fired, it is increased based on the distance between the enemy, so this is kind of like a reverse slingshot in a way. But this also has a very good base attack at 608, and then its attack percent substat is going to be very good to get you a large amount of attack. The Polar Star is another viable option because this increases your elemental skill and elemental burst damage, which isn't necessarily going to be that great of a thing just in terms of his overall kit, but pretty much whenever you're damaging enemies, you're going to get these extra stacks of attack, which is really going to set this weapon apart from some of the other ones. Because on top of this, you also get a good amount of crit rate, which is going to be very good for damage consistency. So definitely a weapon to consider. The Aqua Simulacra weapon, I think this one could potentially be a viable option as well on him, just because it has a large amount of crit damage. Even though it has a lower base attack, you're pretty much going to still be chilling with this weapon. It gives you a little bit more HP, but then it also gives you this extra 20% damage bonus, so it's definitely kind of a good option to consider. And then last but not least, we have Tighnari's specific 5-star bow. Now this one, I can't really show you too much of it. It's going to be the best in slot on Tighnari. It comes with crit rate as a substat. It gives a very good amount, I think it's like 44% about. But then its passive is also going to give you 12% all elemental damage bonuses. And then you also obtain the Tireless Hunt effect when hitting an opponent with a charge attack. This effect increases charge attack damage by 160% of Elemental Mastery, so once again tying into Tighnari with Elemental Mastery stacked. And this effect will be removed after 12 charge attacks or 10 seconds. And I don't know if that 12 charge attacks actually refers to each of the little particles that Tighnari gets, like his little trackers from his level 2 charge attack. If it does, that could be a problem to run into, but if it's just straight up normal charge attacks for all of the damage instances, that could be pretty interesting. But also says only one instance of Tireless Hunt can be gained every 12 seconds, so I guess what this means is that you can trigger it, and then once you trigger it, you have 12 charge attacks for that 10-second duration, and then you basically can trigger it after that 2 seconds of downtime, I think. But other than that, that's going to be about it for the video. Let me know if you liked it down in the comments section below. I'm also going to be making some videos on Dory and the Dendro Traveler, and those are going to be upcoming pretty soon. I'm also going to be making artifacts guides for Kali and Tighnari as well, so keep an eye out for those. But anyway, it's been me, Arctic. We'll see you in the next one. Farewell.